I don't know where this trend came from, but if you are terminally online, as I am, much to my shame, then except on the weekends, then you are already well aware of it. At some point over the past week or so, it came to my attention, it came to the attention of many women, rather, on social media, that the men in their lives frequently think about the Roman Empire. This was a shock to women, most of whom have never had a single unprompted thought about the Roman Empire, or frankly, any ancient empire, much to their shame, at any point in their lives. And so Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok soon became flooded with videos of women asking their husbands and boyfriends whether they think about this subject and how often. Here's just a quick compilation of a few of these fascinating conversations. Watch.
About the Roman Empire.
How often do I think about it?
Yeah.
I don't know, just technically like every day.
Do you think about the Roman Empire ever?
Yeah, I guess, sometimes.
How often?
I don't know. Once a week. How do you not think about the Roman Empire? Basically.
How many times, like a week, or just how many times in general, do you think about the Roman Empire?
What about the Roman Empire?
Just anything about it.
Probably not a lot. Why?
Not a lot. When was the last time you thought about it?
Maybe a week or two ago? The Roman Empire was a very big part in history.
So how often do you think about it?
Not a lot.
How often? Once every month?
Maybe 3 or 4 times a month.
You think about the Roman Empire once a week.
It has a lot of big, like, stories and lessons, like, within the Roman Empire of what to do and what not to do. So, yeah.
So you think about the Roman Empire once a week?
Sometimes, yeah.
How often do you think about the Roman Empire?
This tense. I don't know, every couple days.
So this has piqued the interest of the media as well. The Daily Mail, People, Business Insider, Wired, the New York Times, Time Magazine, Rolling Stone, Mashable, among others, have all run lengthy articles about this phenomenon, each attempting to offer some sort of explanation for why men think about the Roman Empire and women not only don't think about it, but are shocked to learn that anyone thinks about it at all. Now, before I offer my own analysis, I should answer the question for myself. I don't think about the Roman Empire quite as often as many of these other men. The Roman Empire probably crosses my mind a few times a month, but no more than that. And that's because the historical epoch that I devote most of my mental energy to is the American Old West. So I think about the Old West multiple times a day, easily. There are other historical periods and episodes that I reflect on frequently. I think about Magellan's circumnavigation of the globe at least once a week, probably more. The Age of Discovery in general is a subject of daily meditation. Loyal listeners of this show also know that I have a strange obsession with 19th and early 20th century polar exploration. That's a period of history that I easily think about every day. I think the point is that men all have certain historical episodes that they tend to mull over. The Roman Empire makes it into all of our rotations, but its frequency can vary depending on how much psychological real estate we give to other time periods. Now, let me solve the mystery for the confused women of the world. Why do men think about these things? Well, the shortest and simplest answer is that we think about stuff like this because it's interesting to think about. I mean, what else is there to think about? Now, sure, there are plenty of other things to think about. On a daily basis, I also think about outer space and the deep sea, the Amazon rainforest. I think about what I would do. I think all guys think about it. What would I do if a bunch of bad guys with guns came to kill me? Really, like in any scenario, in any like physical environment I walk into, you think about that. You run through the various scenarios, one where you have a gun yourself, one where you're unarmed, one where you're armed only with nunchucks or a hammer or a chainsaw or something. Think about that. I think about my own death. I think about what's for dinner. The point is that there's a lot of time in the day to think about a lot of things. And I read somewhere that the human brain processes 70,000 thoughts in a day. And that seems completely made up to me. I don't know how anyone could come up with an exact number of thoughts that the average person thinks. I'm not even sure how you precisely differentiate one thought from the next, but I'm sure that we all, well, some of us anyway, do plenty of thinking. And we think about many things. So why wouldn't we carve out some time to think about ancient Rome? Like I said, it's interesting. That's really the only prerequisite for determining whether something is worth thinking about as far as men are concerned. There's more to it than that, though. In the Roman Empire, we see much to admire. This was a civilization that helped to build the world as we know it today. They invented or helped to innovate everything from aqueducts to complex systems of road to concrete. They built enormous, beautiful structures like the Colosseum and the Pantheon, which still stand to this day. Like any great ancient civilization, their priorities extended beyond the moment that they're living in. Unlike us, they actually remembered things that happened more than 30 minutes ago, and they thought about the future beyond 30 minutes from now. They cared about legacy. They wanted to build a civilization that would last for 1,000 years, and they did. So it's the longevity, the permanence, the legacy that we admire and that we look to with a certain longing, pangs of sadness upon the realization that our own civilization is so feckless and limp and shallow and superficial and distracted by comparison. The Roman Empire was also a time, like in any ancient civilization, where what we would call traditional masculinity reigned supreme. Men were men and were rewarded and celebrated for being men. These are the things we think about when we think about the Roman Empire. But the Roman Empire is also a warning. It's a cautionary tale that we are certainly not heeding in our age. After all, the Roman Empire is no longer with us because it eventually fell, it collapsed. And given that we are very much seeming to be living through our own civilizational collapse, we like to go back and read about and think about other civilizations that experience the same so that we know what to expect and so that by some miracle, we might be able to stave off the inevitable. So it's both the parallels with our time and the differences that we find fascinating. It's just unfortunate that we share all of the bad features of ancient Rome and few of the good ones. Before giving our dog rough grains, he was so sad and lazy. Now he actually enjoys his squeaky toys and playing fetch with his Frisbee. Our pup's days are filled with laughter, exercise, and endless fun. Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black, founder of Rough Greens, is focused on improving the health of every dog in America. Little did I know, before I got Rough Greens, dog food is dead food. Everyone knows that nutrition isn't brown, it's green. Let Rough Greens boost your dog's food back to life. Rough Greens is a supplement that contains all the necessary vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega oils, digestive enzymes, and antioxidants that your dog needs. You don't have to go out and buy new dog food. You just sprinkle Rough Greens on their food every day. Dog owners everywhere are raving about Rough Greens. It supports healthy joints, improves bad breath, boosts energy levels, and so much more. We are what we eat, and that goes for dogs too. Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black is so confident Rough Greens will improve your dog's health. He's offering my listeners a free Jumpstart trial bag so your dog can try it. A free Jumpstart trial bag can be at your door in just a few business days. Go to roughgreens.com/Matt or call 844-ROUGH-700. That's ruffgreens.com/Matt or call 844-ROUGH-700 today. I think the bigger question and the more interesting one is, though, why women are surprised to learn that men think about these kinds of things. Now, the answer is, I believe, partly that a woman will very often ask the man in her life, "What are you thinking?" And the man will almost never reply by saying the Roman Empire or any other historical subject. In fact, the man will often say, quote, "Nothing," which has led many women to the understandable but still mistaken conclusion that men often sit around thinking about literally nothing at all. What they don't understand is that when we say nothing, what we really mean is nothing relevant to you or nothing we feel like talking about at the moment. We aren't going to say, "Oh, I'm thinking about the Roman Empire," because we know that'll lead to a whole list of additional questions that will take us totally away from the train of thought that we're on. So, real world example of this. A few days ago, I was sitting and staring blankly into space, as one tends to do. And my wife asked me, "What are you thinking about?" And the real answer is that I was thinking about where I would rank Christopher Nolan in a list of the top 20 film directors of all time, which is a thought that came to mind when I thought about his film Interstellar, which is overrated in my opinion. And Interstellar came to mind because before that, I was thinking about what might actually happen if I fell into a black hole. And I didn't want to explain all of that, so instead I said, "Nothing." Now, women might consider that kind of answer dishonest, but from a man's perspective, we don't see how we can be expected to simply reveal the contents of our mind upon request. And we also can't say, the real honest answer would be, I guess, "Well, I don't want to tell you what I'm thinking." Because if we say that, then the woman's going to either assume that we're planning some kind of big surprise or we're concealing some dark secret. Like we're planning a surprise birthday party, or we're having an affair. Those are the two things she's going to assume. And neither of those assumptions will do us or our relationship any good. So that's where this comes from. But there's another reason why women are surprised by this Roman Empire thing. And this is the most important part. A woman's mind simply works differently from a man's mind. A man tends to think more abstractly about things that are beyond his immediate experiences and environment. A woman And her thoughts are more situated in her daily life, her relationships, her home, her emotions, the emotions of people closest to her. For example, my wife spends more time in a day thinking about furniture than I have cumulatively in my entire life. So like furniture is the Roman Empire to women, basically. And neither of these ways of thinking are wrong, obviously. They're just different. And they're different in important ways that also happen to complement one another. You know, it's almost as though men and women were designed to pair up and go through life together. Imagine that. The man with his sort of larger, abstract meditations, the woman with her more grounded and immediate and often emotion-based concerns. And together, the two have all the bases covered. After all, it's important to have somebody in the family who's worried about the decline of empires and the fate of human civilization. It's also important to have someone who's worried about the fact that the baby needs a new onesie. So different ways of thinking for two different sexes, yet more evidence in the end that the sexes do in fact exist and that they are in fact definable and different in ways that even transcend the physical. Which is why ultimately it's once again the people who deny the reality of the sexes and the differences between them who are today canceled. Hey YouTube, thanks for listening to the show. If you'd like access to my full show with no ads, you should go to dailywire.com and use promo code Walsh to get 2 months free on all annual plans. See you there.